Hi everyone, reporting to you live from my studio. I hope you guys had a really safe week and very fun week. This is a double upload week, which means extra work, but it's okay. It's all done. And this is going to be a chill episode, as you'll see from the title and later on in the video. And it's going to be fun. Grab some snacks and we're going to talk about books. Have fun. Bye. All right. Hi everyone. I feel like it's been such a long time since I've recorded here. It's been maybe like a week or two. I told you guys I was gonna give you a double upload. I said it in the video. Side note: I made a video about transcribing music using the Little Rascals theme, and it was really fun. And I tried to explain it in the best way that I can. And some of you guys actually commented and said it was like, very easy for you to interpret and understand. Like I have I have a couple of friends that I explained music theory to maybe 2 years ago actually. My roommate, she came with me for Thanksgiving and I had my like music box, like my box of all of my programs and all the things I've performed in with with old music. And I was explaining it to her and reading it to her and she was like, yeah, no, I don't get any of this stuff. So I felt like it was best to do it in a way that was understandable to not just musicians or like start new musicians, but just people who aren't even into music and would just want to know just for the fun of it. So I'm glad that I'm glad that I fixed it. So today's gonna be pretty chill. We don't have any clips, any videos or anything like that. I want to talk about my favorite books I've been currently reading. Some of them are off or are not here because either I do not have a copy with me or they are like library books. And I had to give them back, but it's fine. It's fine. I talked about all of my movies and soundtracks, and even though that's a great medium and it's great art, there's more to it. There's art and literature. So eventually I will talk about more books as we go on and just start, circulating in all of the different arts. So I'm going to start off with my favorite childhood book. So, if you were new or like if you've been around even before the rebrand, I did talk about this in one of my episodes, just about books. So around, I have to maybe say 6th grade. I was with my mom. We always go to Target all the time. And my favorite place to go for Target is the book section. And while she's off doing her thing, I come over here and look at all the books. Now, my favorite animal for as long as I can remember are elephants. And I saw this elephant and I was like, this is pretty cool. It's got an elephant in it. I'm already interested. So I start looking into the book and I start reading it. And one of those books that you start reading and you just like, you're kind of like eating it up. So when my mom, she came around, she was like, oh, did you find a book? I was like, yeah, can we take it? Like, because you don't want to read a book and then you have to leave it and then you have to know what's happening in the next, couple of chapters and to the end. So I buy the book and, well, my mom bought the book. And then I start reading it for, like reading time in 6th grade. Now, the book, you can honestly finish this in a day. I know it looks like it's this thick, but the spacing is very spaced out. You can finish it. There's also like, pictures in there that you saw. I'm going to talk about my tabs and everything like that because I do have tabs. I do tab my books. I am one of those people. So, the one and only Ivan captures Ivan, the gorilla, and Ruby, the baby elephant. So, Ivan is a gorilla that lives in a mall. It's kind of like a roadside zoo with a mall and all that stuff. And people who shop can come over and see all these animals. And it captures their lives being in captivity. And when you get older, some of the themes are just like kind of in your face. But when you're a kid, everything is just kind of in a different lens. And I'm going to be reading some of this stuff in my in this episode. So we're going to start off with the first one. Like literally, you'll finish this in a book because this is literally the first page. So it says, I am Ivan, I am a gorilla. It's not as easy as it looks. So his family was actually in the wild, and his sister and his mom, he got separated from them, and he has this little this little teddy bear called Not Tag, which is like a stuffed gorilla that he keeps, and it's such a cute story. We learn about Stella, who is an older elephant that later passes away. I was kind of crying in class because of that happening, but I want to get into of course, more of the story, but also my method of tabs because they're all different colors. So the green ones are lines that I like green, go, green flag, I like it. Yellow are more so my favorites, and they vary from different books because sometimes I change the book tabs from the aesthetic of the book. It's a lifestyle. So I change those, but I always make the lines that I love pink. And orange is kind of like the theme, like the circulating theme that I see. Or yellow ones are kind of like questions that I love, but just discussion type questions. So when I talked about how the book talks about captivity and how animals view humans, it's very interesting because I was a zoology major once upon a time. He says, I've learned to understand human words over the years, but understanding human speech is not the same as understanding humans. Humans speak too much. They chatter like chimps, crowding the world with their noise even when they have nothing to say. It took me some time to recognize all those human sounds, to weave words into things, but I was patient. Patient is a useful way to be when you're an ape. Gorillas are as patient as stones, humans not so much. And I thought it was really cool because it really conveys how animals view humans in the real world and how we're so complex and animals are just so cutthroat with everything that they do in their lifestyle. And it's a great read. I don't know how people are in their like adult lives reading children's books. I'm not really against it. I can read this again if I want to, and I will. But yeah, so that's with one and only Ivan. I don't want to like give off too much. So Circe is what I'll talk about though. Circe is my favorite book currently. So before I left, I finished this book. I started this book and like read it 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. And I actually had a trip to go to, and I was probably this much left in the. Actually, no, I was like this much left of the book. We were going to Puerto Rico with my friends, my best friend's family, my parents, our parents' friends' family. It was just a big group. And I was reading this book at like 3 a.m. because if you've ever had like a beach read or like a vacation read, you don't want to have a book that you're already done with because if you finish the book first day into your vacation, you have nothing else to read. So you want to start off fresh. So I was finishing this book, and then after this book, I read The Unhoneymooners, which is a very nice marshmallow book. We'll talk about those in another episode. Circe is a Greek retelling, if you hadn't, noticed by the cover. It is written by Madeline Miller, who is better known for her song or her book Song of Achilles. She really does this. Like she went to school for classics. So it talks about the myth of Circe, how she's half god, half nymph. And it's like a book of self-acceptance, self-esteem, coming of age, just self-identity, just great things all around. I think I'm thinking of rereading it again to have all the better themes. And it's such a great book. I have some of the lines that I want to read. Like I said, the pink ones are nice. So for context, she is kind of an outcast when it comes to her family and her siblings. Now she was, her mother was a nymph, but she wasn't as beautiful as, her mother was, and she didn't gain all of the godlike abilities that her father Helios had. So it just made her an outcast with her parents and her siblings always making fun of her. So she was just kind of a loner. So one day, this is when she meets Minos, and she wants to learn how to. She later gets into like witchcraft when she gets, what's the word? Exiled to her own island, and the island becomes this island that where all bad girls go, and she's like the witch, and she torments all these men and turns them all into pigs. It's just like it's a great story all around. Um, when she meets Minos, I'm gonna read like a little context before I get to the actual line. I looked down at his thick black hair, shining in the sunset light, his strong shoulders bowing low. This is what all those gods in our halls longed for, such worship. I thought perhaps he had not done it right, or more likely I had not. All I wanted was to see his face again. Rise, I told him. Please, I have not blessed your nets. I have no powers to do so. I am born from naiads, who govern fresh water only, and even their small gifts I lack. Yet, he said, May I return? Will you be here? For I've never known such a wondrous thing in all my life as you. Crack. I thought that was great. I thought that was a beautiful line. She later gets kind of fucked over by Minos in this book. Sorry. It sucks. But eventually she does get her lick back. She was really doing her thing and like halfway into the book. Let's talk about some other ones. The blue ones, though, I don't think I had any blue ones in the one and only Ivan. They're kind of like sad, soft, very moody lines. That's what I'll say. They're very moody. When we get closer, we kind of get closer into like her self-acceptance. Kind of early on in the book, maybe in the first like 100 pages, when she realizes that she's the only person that she truly has. And she says, there was a bronze mirror in my bedroom, tall as a ceiling. When I passed it, I scarcely knew myself. My gaze seemed brighter, my face sharper, and there behind me paced my wild lion familiar. I could imagine what my cousins would say if they saw me, my feet dirty from working in the garden, my skirts knotted up around my knees, singing at the height of my frail voice. Yeah. There's so many themes in this book that I want to talk about, but I feel like since Circe is my favorite book, I might have to make maybe a video essay about it. So this is just kind of an introductory part to Circe. Now these books are what I just recently read. I've been getting into graphic novels as well. So I just finished The Killing Joke, Dark Knights of Steel, and Black Widow. Now, The Killing Joke, I already watched since the comic book came out first. I watched the movie first, and then the comic book. When I watched The Killing Joke, I knew what I was going to be getting into because just the whole Batman-Joker dynamic is another thing. That's another video we'll be talking about. So much content here. When I watched The Killing Joke, I saw the scene where when the Joker came to Barbara's house, and just like the first frame of that, like, you're not like fully startled, but you feel fear in your body. Like, what better Gen Z way of saying it, your body took a screenshot. That's what I got from that. And I was like, it was real scary. And some of the frames were exactly the same as they were from the comic book. And I really liked that. I was up at like probably 1 a.m. reading all these comic books because The Killing Joke, although very dark, very intense story to it as well. The Dark Knights of Steel has this like medieval twist to it, has multiple different sides of the story, and just, kind of like progresses later on, which I also like, because most times comic books will stop and be like, we'll find out next time. And it just kind of pisses me off after a while. But even though I know that's how they get you, sometimes I like the continuous story, and it leaves me at a good pace. Like, I don't have to like know exactly what happens next and it's 2 a.m. and I can't do anything about it but wait until get something, go to the store and buy it. So yeah, those are great. If time permits today, I'll probably go and get the other copies. But Writers and Lovers, I have Audible, and Audible has great deals if you're up to date with them. So I went online, and they have like, they had this special where I paid like $5 a month all the way up until December. And I took advantage of that, and I started reading Writers and Lovers by Lily King. She is an amazing writer. I have to read more of her books, but the theme of 20-year-old women going through life and just kind of getting knocked back and getting back up has just kind of been my jam for the past like couple years. Now, I think it's mostly when I was 18, because womanhood starts so early. So I think when I started reading My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh, I was like, okay, I like this. And then I started reading more of Ottessa. I read Eileen, and I think later on I'll read Death in Her Hands. But Writers and Lovers is actually a book that was kind of a recommendation of a recommendation of a recommendation, because this is my method. If you're ever like, man, I can never find books that I want to talk about or like I want to read that I'll actually like. Because sometimes there will be multiple times where I read a book that gets recommended to me and it sucks. And then I have to not read it anymore. And I just was kind of like out X amount of dollars because I had to listen to everyone. So take a movie or a TV show that you really like. For example, I'm talking about Fleabag. Fleabag is a great show. I think you can watch it on Prime Video, or yeah, I think it's only on Prime Video. But it's a great show. It's only 2 seasons. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, great comedian. It was actually her show was actually a one-woman show, and I think she had a special about that maybe this summer. Um, but I watched that show, and I was like, I like this. I want this in a book right now. So, thanks to TikTok and a lot of book readers and bookworms like myself, people post on TikTok about, hey, if you like this show, you should read these things. If you like this trope, tropes are great. If you figure out what your trope is head on, you're set for life. So my favorite my favorite trope are enemies to lovers. It's number one. It's kind of like the most common because it's just kind of easy. Enemies to lovers and grumpy sunshine. Like it makes it better for me. I know a lot of people like grumpy sunshine but like gender swap, so like the woman is grumpy and the guy is sunshine, but I'm a real like stickler for the woman being sunshine and the guy being grumpy. Specifically Hades and Persephone retellings. I read those a lot. I'm not gonna get into that though, because that's like a different genre. Um, Workplace romance is good. I like that. Um, I've started to get into there's this other book. I did this theory a while ago with this book by Christina Lauren. When I told you about the Unhoneymooners, that's the same author. I read the Unhoneymooners in 5 days while I was on that trip. When I had came home, I read it for a day and I was done. So then when I saw, what is that book called? One True Lovers or something like that. I have to look it up. I have the book. I just don't can't really think of it right now. Um I wanted to test a theory because her reading is it continues in a really positive way because sometimes I like books that make me think to, feel a little philosophical, but sometimes I just want a nice marshmallow book that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. Love in Other Words. I was nowhere near close for what I just said. I'm thinking of Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm thinking of that book. Love in Other Words, it's like a Friends to Lovers. Friends to Lovers is also good too. But I wanted to test the theory to see how long it would take me because I never would have fathomed reading a book. Like, even though I love to read, depending on how big the book is, yeah, you can finish it in a day. But The Unhoneymooners was like a 400-page book. And I didn't think I would ever be that fast of a reader to read something so fast. So when I got that book, because the Love in Other Words is around the same, like maybe 430 something pages, I was like, okay, let's try and see how long it would take me. And I documented it on my TikTok. I'll put my TikTok handle somewhere in here so you guys can see it. But it took me 3 days to read. It was really good. It was actually around New Year's. So yeah, really good. If you want to test your reading skills, maybe find someone, that you really enjoy reading and do that. But back to finding favorite your favorite books. When it comes to like TikTok recommendations and all that stuff, if you truly like, celebrities' works and you follow them, you listen to their podcasts, you find what their methods are, listen to their podcasts. There's a lot of people, that want to deep dive into other people's lives, specifically celebrities. And sometimes it'll be like, hey, what's your favorite book? What are you currently reading? What do you like? And they start getting into their own authors and what they like, what they dislike, and maybe this specific book inspired this show that you like watching. So that's usually been my method because once you find your source, boom, you have a syllabus and you're done. So I realized this after a while that I did this to myself because the book that I read before Writers and Lovers, I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I like the way the author says her name because she's British, and I was listening to her podcast, and funny enough, her podcast talking about her book came out on my birthday, and she was saying, and she says it like Coco Malors or something like that. I thought it was really cool. Cleopatra and Frankenstein was a recommendation from Fleabag. It is an American man and a British woman, and they meet in New York. The British woman, Cleo, she is an artist, and Frank is in advertising. And it was really cool how they're about 10, 11 years apart, and they talk about, being together because she wanted to stay in the US and she didn't have a visa, so they got married, and talks about her friends and all that stuff. I have had so many tabs in that book and I don't have it. That sucks, but it's okay. It's a great read. If you like Fleabag, you'll definitely like Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I'm waiting for her to make another book because I think that's the only book that she has out right now, and I think her next book comes out next year. Fingers crossed. But Writers and Lovers is about Casey Peabody, and she is a writer, and she takes about 6 years to write her book, her full manuscript, and it's a book about again, self-esteem, self-acceptance, but more importantly, she maneuvers her way through grief because she had, in the past 6 months, she had lost her mother, and she was away, and being an artist, studying abroad and going all these places and meeting all these amazing people, and she lost her mom, and she sees so much of her mom when she goes to work because she's also a waitress, because working in the arts, it's hard out here. It's real hard out here, especially if you're writing and you're making a novel. You can't get that much financial support with that unless you have to support yourself, busting tables, doing what you need to do, but also doing the things that you love. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of patience. So she meets all these friends. She meets this other. That's funny. She also meets another person that's like 10 years older than her, and his name is Oscar, who's also an author, which is cool. So yeah, I just realized this all just kind of connects together. I know like there are things that I like, but they're so similar because Crying in H Mart, this is the book I'm currently reading, is a memoir. It's about a woman who also goes through grief, the loss of her mother. My mother's alive. I love my mom. Hi, Mom, because I know she watches it. But it's very strange because Fleabag, they also lose their mom in it, and it's just talking about just women being women and womanhood. It's just, that's really strange. I really gravitate towards some stuff. Maybe I just need to, maybe I should go back to like Greek retellings because I was hooked for a long time. I read Neon Gods. That should not be read for a specific age group. That was a good book. I didn't know about it. My friend who loves books, she had posted on her Snap one time, and it was about Hades and Persephone. It was my favorite duo. And I got the book, and I was like, oh, it's one of those. It was a great book. So after I read Neon Gods, I read Touch of Ruin. Like, that's a whole series. I have to finish that, or is it Touch of Darkness or something like that? It's, another thing that I love with books, when they make the chapters different POVs. Like, it goes back and forth, so you know exactly what each of the characters are thinking. Crack. So, that, and then there was another book that I'm starting to read. It's this book called Promises and Pomegranates. That's another one because of pomegranate and core, stuff like that. But Crying to H Mart, I usually don't read memoirs, but a recommendation for that, if you like One Piece. I'm sorry, there's a lot of I'm gonna talk about One Piece a lot, but when there was this one line in here, because I haven't finished it, so there's not many post-its in here or tabs in here. I'm gonna read both of the tabs since there's only two. It talks about how her mother, because her mother is Korean, and she's half white, half Korean. Michelle, because it's it talks about her relationship with her mom and how they have a great relationship with food. And I was like, this is so Sanji coded. This is insanely Sanji coded, because if you've watched, well, I'm not gonna give that away because you haven't gotten your way around to it. If you haven't, Sanji's storyline kind of progresses into the show, so I'm not gonna not gonna spoil it for you. So, it says here, page 14, so literally not into the book. I was like, well, I remember these things clearly because that was how my mother loved you, not through white lies and constant verbal affirmation, but in subtle observations of what brought you joy, pocketed away to make you feel comforted and cared for without even realizing it. She remembered if you liked your stews with extra broth, if you were sensitive to spice, if you hated tomatoes, if you didn't eat seafood, if you had a large appetite. She remembered which banchan dish you emptied first, so the next time you were over, it'd be set with a heaping double portion, served alongside the various other preferences that made you, you. I thought that was really cute. And then later on, she talks about the progression of her mom's cancer, and talks, even though she's not a mother herself, she captures being a mother very well for some reason, because she just kind of like talks about it with what she experienced from her mom. And I just read this a couple of days ago. It was what'd she say? It said, that night lying beside her, I remembered how when I was a child I would slip my cold feet between my mother's thighs to warm them, how she'd shiver and whisper that she would always suffer to bring me comfort, that was how you knew someone really loved you. I remembered the boots she'd broken in so that by the time I got them I could go on unbothered, without harm. Now more than ever, I wished desperately for a way to transfer pain, wished I could prove to my mother just how much I loved her, that I could just crawl into her hospital cot and press my body close enough to absorb her burden. It seemed only fair that life should present such an opportunity to prove one's filial piety, that the months my mother had been a vessel for me, her organs shifting and cramping together to make room for my existence, and the agony she'd endured upon my exit could be repaid by carrying this pain in her place. The right of an only daughter. But I could do no more than lie nearby, ready to be her advocate, listening to the slow and steady beeping of machinery, the soft sounds of her breathing in and out. I was like, bro, it's like, who's cutting onions in here? Like, I started getting like really sad. It's a great book so far. There's one more book that I'll talk about, and then we'll be done for today. There's this graphic novel, like I said. I'm reading more graphic novels because they're kind of just easy, nice things to do to pass the time. It's called Ducks by Katie Beaton. And it follows this other woman who is also an artist. I don't know why I do this. I was actually in the library and they had like this whole wall of graphic novels. And it has the cover of the book has nothing to do with this woman. It just kind of goes out into like the upper New England, Nova Scotia, Canada section. And it's just out in oil mines. So I had no idea what I was getting in for. So I just started reading it. Sometimes if I'm in the library, I just read it. But if I'm out and I see a book, I'll read, like Google always has like a little bit of a preview of what you're reading. And I do that all the time. But when I started reading Ducks, I just started learning what was happening because I really liked the art style. I was like, I did it again. But Katie, she has like a shit ton of debt in her school. And the only way in her town to make good, decent money is to go into these oil mines, these oil fields, and work in construction. And she goes down there, and it's a male-dominated industry, of course, and it's just capturing her life and all the things she has to endure with, working with men 10, 20, 30 years older than her and working her way up into the ranks and finding herself and doing things that she likes and making some sort of normalcy out of all of that. And it's great. It's like I'm like nearing 100 pages to the end. So I'll tell you how it is in the next episode. The next episode will be a regular YouTube video like the last one. And we're going to be talking about Free Churro, BoJack Horseman. I'm so excited. That is my favorite episode. Fun fact, on my 20th birthday, I actually watched it. And it was in the right time because it wasn't like I went to look for the episode. It was exactly the next episode to watch. It was a great birthday. That's all I have for today. I hope you guys had really safe holiday travels, spend time with your loved ones. If you worked, I did too. It's a good thing that you got that time and a half, hopefully. And that's all I have. I love you guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Like, comment, share. Maybe comment what your favorite book was in the comments, your least favorite book, whatever. And I'll see you soon. Bye.